Some gardens are grown with love. Others are cultivated in silence, fed with blood and watered by fear. Jinshi stared at the bone fragments on his desk. The candlelight cast long shadows across the room, shadows that seemed to tremble. "And you're sure these belong to?" His voice faltered. Mao Mao nodded. "An imperial child. Fed mercury over time and hidden like trash beneath a flower bed." She expected fury. But Jinshi, he just closed his eyes. "I always knew this place was cursed. But I didn't think it ran this deep." He ordered the palace guards to secure the greenhouse. But by the time they arrived, the red flower was gone. Uprooted, erased. Whoever did it moved fast and from the inside. Later, Mao Mao returned to her room to find a small gift box waiting. Inside, a dried lotus flower, and beneath it, a note. "Curiosity kills, little cat. Let sleeping roots lie." It wasn't a threat, it was a promise. Meanwhile, Jinshi was called to meet with the Empress Dowager. She smiled gently, sipping tea. "There's been unrest in the gardens lately," she said. "Perhaps we should remove the weeds." He bowed, but something in her tone chilled him. It wasn't the garden she was talking about. It was Mao Mao. Back in her apothecary quarters, Mao Mao began mixing herbs with unusual focus. "If they want me to lie down and be silent," she whispered, "they've picked the wrong flower." She added crushed belladonna to a powder mix. Enough to sedate a guard or kill a snake, depending on the dose. This wasn't medicine anymore, it was warfare. Disguised in porcelain jars and fragrant oils, and Mao Mao, she was ready. A chill wind howled through the palace that night, rattling the windows in their frames. Inside, a shadowy figure crept along a corridor, moving with purpose. A guard stepped into the light, momentarily blocking the intruder's path. Startled, the figure froze. Then, with a swift movement, they were upon the guard, knocking him unconscious. With practiced ease, they slipped past the inner gates, disappearing into the night. Mao Mao stood on the palace wall, the wind whipping her hair around her face. Below her, the royal manager courtyard stretched into darkness. Somewhere a dog barked, a cat yowled in response. Mao Mao smiled, her eyes gleaming in the moonlight. The Empress Dowager had received her message. Now it was time for a little strategy of her own. As dawn broke, Jinshi summoned his advisors. They stood in the courtyard where moments before a black shadow had landed silently. But now there was no sign of the intruder, nor any trace of their passage. "Did you find anything?" Jinshi asked, his voice tight with barely suppressed anger. The lead investigator shook his head. "Nothing, Your Highness." It's as if she vanished into thin air. He couldn't help but glance at the dried flowers in the center of the table, a silent accusation. Jinshi looked away, clenching his jaw. He trusted Mao Mao. Even if she hadn't been the one to tip off the imperial investigator, she wouldn't have let the red flower wither without tending it. But why? What was the meaning behind the cryptic note? What was the Empress Dowager planning? And what did it have to do with the greenhouse and the missing flower? Determined to get to the bottom of the mystery, Jinshi decided to pay a surprise visit to the apothecary. The air in Mao Mao's chambers was thick with the scent of drying herbs when Jinshi entered, his eyes scanning for any sign of struggle. Finding none, he approached the table where she sat, calmly stirring a concoction. She looked up, her expression serene. "Did you find out anything last night?" she asked, her voice betraying no hint of fear or anxiety. Jinshi hesitated, torn between his need for answers and his desire to protect her. But Mao Mao's unwavering gaze held his, daring him to trust her. So Jinshi finally revealed what he had discovered: the missing flower, the unconscious guard, the cryptic note. As he spoke, Mama listened intently, her fingers tightening around her teacup. When Jinshi fell silent, she set the cup down, her eyes blazing with newfound determination. Whatever danger had been lurking in the shadows, she would face it head-on. For Mao Mao, the calm waters of deception had just begun to stir. And as the petals of deceit unfolded, she found herself caught in a whirlwind of hidden motives and blossoming peril.